Wherever she goes, the information I get and the feedback is that she's a wonderful worker, trusted, responsible.
And one of the things I always say about her is that she allows you to make mistakes.
She would say, Monica, when I was growing up, so and so and so and so never happened, and this never used to happen. I don't know what is happening to the public service now.
She was a good colleague to me, a good teammate. We worked very well. We worked long hours.
She was well put together all the time. I admired her for that, very professional in the way she looked.
As we say in Trinidad, she loved to dress. Yeah.
All in all, a very efficient officer.
Public service started in September of 1969 when I joined the Treasury, sometimes called the Comptroller of Accounts Office, as a Clerk 1. From 1969 to 2009, that's just over 40 years. Following that, my appointment as Clerk 1, I worked there for 2 years and then proceeded on a government-sponsored scholarship to Scotland.
We met in Glasgow, Scotland. I was on a government scholarship, and in 1971, Diane, she came up to Scotland, the same school, the same college, to study accountancy.
I returned to Trinidad after a short period of no pay leave.
And when she came back as a qualified accountant.
I was on no pay leave because I was in Guyana with my husband, who had some contractual obligations, but I ensured that we both came back to Trinidad.
She came back to the Treasury.
I worked at first in financial management section, followed by investment section that deals with loans, public debt, managing the public debt of Trinidad and Tobago, both local and foreign. Following that, I went on to another division in the Ministry of Finance, the Budget Division. That was in September of 1986. In 1998, August, I went to the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine campus, to take up the position of Deputy Campus Bursar.
And I think at that level, she would have also gained the kind of experience and management skills.
And I remained there until December of 2003. I returned to the public service in January of 2004 to the Ministry of Education as acting permanent secretary.
Mrs. Rutherford really brought a lot of value to the Ministry of Education. Coming from that budget background, her own background as an accountant, a lot of project management skills and procurement skills. So immediately she was put in charge, if I recall, of the Public Sector Investment Program, the PSIP, which she managed excellently.
Working as the director of HR, I had to work with her as well. I found her to be one who was very gentle. She was of the old school as well, because being an accountant, really, it's the figures and things must really and truly be in order.
In May of 2007, I went, of course, to the Ministry of Community Development. At that time, it was a much larger ministry. It was the Ministry of Community Development, Culture, and Gender Affairs.
I only knew about her. I had met her once or twice before, and I didn't know what it would be like to work with her. And immediately it was a wonderful experience. She likes to share.
When I came into the public service, it was my first job coming out of UE, and she immediately struck me to be a very nurturing person, very caring, I guess, because she's a mother at home and that kind of thing. She always willing to give you advice, not only, with respect to work and stuff, but in terms of your personal life and that kind of thing. So that's how I saw her on entering the ministry.
When you talk about Diana Rutherford, a smile comes on my face. In the last 2.5 years I've worked with her, it's been a pleasure and a joy because she's a woman who understood her role as leader, and in her role as leader, she knew she had to coach and to mentor. And that's what she did.
My interaction with her, she told a lot of stories. She always could have gone back to childhood and in the country grandee.
When I went to the University of the West Indies, I interacted with students quite a lot. So I came to understand the need. They're all grown up and mature, but they still need a little of mothering. They would come in to the bursary, have little problems, and you would help solve it. And I was very, very much involved in something called a mentoring program. I was part of it, so I had mentors. I mentored students throughout my years at the university.
And very much that helped her in really being a compassionate permanent secretary.
She doesn't forget that she had small children, and that when her children were small, they had to be in the office with her until late in the evening. So when you come to her and say, I need to have the people who work with me have their children in the evenings, you get her support because she understands what it is like to be a mother, to be a father, to be a caregiver.
I think she was able to, as a permanent secretary, keep the lines of authority clear, yet having respect for all. So it was never like speaking down or anything like that, but you know she was the permanent secretary.
I think I know her when she came into the public service. I know her now when she's leaving the public service. And I am confident that she has given to the best of her ability, and I think there are a lot of people who would benefit or would have benefited from having to interface or work with her. That's how I feel about it.
Thorough.
Beautifully intelligent.
Collaborative.
Wasn't disorganized at all.
Always looking sharp.